2023 may well be remembered as the year AI went mainstream. From being a niche novelty and a technology employed by the biggest enterprises, we now stand in a new position where the power of AI, both generative AI and other AI technologies, are increasingly available to everyone. What predictions do I have for 2024, and where might we stand with these productivity-focused AI tools, particularly Copilot for Microsoft 365, by this time next year? But before we start, a quick introduction. My name is Nick DeCourcy. I'm the owner of Bright Ideas Agency, a digital transformation consulting company focused on the needs of smaller businesses. I'm also the author of Who's in the Copilot Seat, a guide for small business leaders on adopting AI. I help businesses around the world get more from technology, and if you're interested in working with me or getting a copy of my book, there's more information and links in the video description. With the release of Bing Chat in February and the announcement of Microsoft 365 Copilot in March, we have been on an AI roller coaster, with Microsoft arguably at the controls ever since. When that initial Microsoft 365 Copilot announcement came, I declared here that Microsoft had just won work. But it's certainly proven to be a matchup that has been less straightforward than I initially thought it might be. The AI landscape has not been smooth sailing. Generative AI has seen increasing copyright concerns, and it has been in the news as much for high-profile errors as for the help its revolutionary technology has delivered. Microsoft's co-piloted path has at times seemed somewhat confused, with AI tools announced for everything. There were over 100 co-pilots Microsoft was working on at last count, but with limited releases. And the general availability of Copilot for Microsoft 365 has been a bit of a debacle, given that while generally available, it continues to be really anything but, only accessible to organisations who want to buy 300 or more seats for at least $100,000 a year. Microsoft has been paving its own path, but has not made it as smooth as it could have done. Over the course of the last couple of months, with the meltdown we saw at OpenAI, with the firing and then rehiring of Sam Altman, and growing reporting of both questionable and outright illegal and dangerous content in AI training data and outputs, the path of these new AI technologies and their creators from wild invention to mature and reliable tool remains a little cloudy. But with all of that, the march of AI continues, and there are many who are gaining real productivity benefits from it every day. It continues to be somewhat misunderstood by many, and this is the context from which we embark on 2024, or AI Year 2. So where do I think this AI roller coaster is going to go over the next year? I recently polled my YouTube audience on which upcoming Microsoft 365 features you were most excited about. The resounding leader was Copilot for Microsoft 365 coming to smaller businesses. By this I mean as an add-on to business tier licenses and with a commitment of less than the 300 Copilot licenses you currently need to buy. Realistically, I think many very small businesses would like to be able to buy Copilot in multiples of one license to get started. Looking back at 2023, we know that we saw major AI announcements from Microsoft with Bing Chat in February and Copilot in March. We can also hypothesize that Microsoft was somewhat pushed to get Copilot for Microsoft 365 out to enterprises because Google had released its Duet AI product, which may have forced them to push the gas a little harder than they intended to get to that November 1st general availability date. Therefore, I think there's a strong likelihood we will at least learn more plans for Copilot for Microsoft 365 having a more realistic general availability in the first quarter of 2024. Perhaps we won't get it until later in the year, but I wouldn't be surprised if by March we at least know what that wait looks like and what those release terms are going to be. And I don't think it's outside the realms of possibility that we'll be able to buy it for any business by that point. The Thanksgiving meltdown at OpenAI will be the stuff of stories and probably movies for years to come, and we still don't know exactly what went down to mean Sam Altman was out and then back in over the course of a long weekend. While Microsoft was not involved in causing the mess, it was clearly involved in solving it, or at least containing the mess. Their $10 billion plus investment in OpenAI was certainly no secret, but this chaos brought it front and centre for many from two competing perspectives. On one hand, it was amazing that after investing such a staggering sum, Microsoft didn't have more power to stop the mess going down. On the other, it became clear to many who perhaps hadn't thought of it before that Microsoft effectively owns OpenAI through a deal that gives them significant sway over the company in real terms, while having to go through none of the regulatory hurdles that might be necessary in a true takeover. These competing issues certainly got a lot of different people excited about this relationship. Amazon, with its Q AI product aimed at the enterprise, offers an option of using different AI models, and this might be a smart direction for the future for Microsoft too. Their reliance on OpenAI's technology is perhaps an untenable risk, and there might be better options for some of the workloads its Copilot tools require. My prediction is that in 2024, Microsoft will open the door to more AI options for its Copilot technologies, just as it now has more options for you to build your own AI tools on Azure. This won't necessarily be selectable by the user, but perhaps different models from different sources will be used for different types of tools, and we'll hear less about many of the different Copilot products being built on top of OpenAI's GPT language models or their DALL-E image generator. As it stands, the experience we get of Copilot for Microsoft 365 varies widely based on the context of the app you're using. For example, your ability to manipulate the generation of text varies widely between Outlook, OneNote and Word, all places where the workload of creating text-based content takes centre stage in our daily use. You can create nicely designed slides in PowerPoint with Copilot, but try creating stylistic design in Word with it. You'll be out of luck. These disparities in usability driving you to use the app Microsoft has decided is best for the task, rather than fitting in with the features of the app you want to use, is frustrating. My view is that this type of limitation is really one that will start to disappear as we move from Copilot version 1 in these apps to experiences that have become more refined over time. By the end of 2024, I think it's highly likely that many of the capabilities of the more general M365 chat tool will have moved into the Copilot chat panes in each of the apps. So for example, I'll be able to chat in Word about recent emails and push relevant content into my documents, or I'll be able to open the same text generation box in OneNote I'm able to use in Word. These sorts of changes seem to be logical advances on the existing model and will make Copilot for Microsoft 365 a lot more accessible. Next, we'll jump into prediction number 4. But first, did you know you can hire me as your digital transformation or AI adoption virtual coach? Sometimes you're not looking to hire a consultant for a long ongoing project and just need some targeted help or advice to get you started, point you in the right direction, or to help you ideate on challenges you've run into. This is the reason I started my virtual digital transformation coach service, where you can connect with me without commitment on an hour-by-hour basis, benefiting from my expertise in digital transformation, AI, Microsoft 365 and Power Platform. And right now, as I release this, there are still a few days left in 2023, and if you book before the end of the year for a 2024 session, you'll get over 30% off the normal rate. Check out the links in the description for more details. The release of Loop and the announcements we recently got about the better integrated new planner we'll see in 2024 likely mark a new direction on how our Microsoft 365 content is built in the future. What both of these advances highlights is that the future for Microsoft 365 is not these monolithic old file types containing set types of data, a PowerPoint presentation file versus an Excel spreadsheet for example, but components built of flexible data entities that are shared across the platform. In this new model, a table is just a table and exists as that same data structure whether we see it in Teams, Loop, Word, or wherever. Loop components help us to do this for data structures we see in documents, and Planner does the same thing for the data structures related to task management. But why is this important to AI? Well, the context provided by Microsoft 365's data is the special source of Copilot, And while new technologies that help it surface the right data like semantic index are important, there are always going to be limitations where data is just thrown together by users however they please, rather than using clearly established repeatable structures. AI takes a lot of the processing power, but so does indexing. So the more Microsoft 365's data is built to help machines understand it, the simpler making tools like Copilot for Microsoft 365 work effectively is going to be. My prediction is that through 2024 we're going to see more announcements that continue this drive towards componentized structured data, and even tooling that makes it easier for us to describe our data so that Microsoft's AI tools have an easier time understanding what we've created. In my view, the Copilot capabilities in Windows were among Microsoft's weakest and most overhyped releases of the year. The added capabilities for Windows simply do not stand up against either the power of Bing Chat or Copilot for Microsoft 365. However, from a shaky start, I think the integration of this technology directly into Windows will become a lot more important and a lot clearer in terms of its direction by the end of 2024. In my book, Who's in the Copilot Seat, I devote one of the later chapters to looking towards Microsoft's AI future and draw upon one of the keynotes from the 2023 Build conference outlining these plans. From this, it is clear that the eventual aspirations for Copilot go far deeper than side panels in your favourite Office apps, but to a complete reimagining of how we interact with computers. Copilot for Microsoft 365 is a good advance, but most businesses don't purely use Microsoft 365, and there aren't Microsoft options for everything that fit the needs of all businesses. If you use apps from a range of vendors or you use legacy business apps, the layer where your AI Copilot would be most useful to you is not necessarily in the Office app or in the browser, but as a component of the operating system. Windows 11 will be 3 years old in 2024, so maybe something new will be coming. My guess on this will be controversial. I think we're going to see a new AI-focused Windows edition with a supercharged Windows Copilot, which will be available as a paid upgrade or as part of certain Microsoft 365 SKUs, or even offered to Copilot for Microsoft 365 customers. It's possible this edition could also require on-device hardware for AI processing, such as we are starting to see in newer processors, and would do a significant amount of AI-enabled system orchestration on device. For those who want AI capabilities at the OS level, I think 2024 will be the year that endless free Windows upgrades will come to an end, and Windows will become a SaaS offering just as Office did so many years before. What do you think on this one? Let me know down in the comments. Over the last year, we have heard a lot and learned a lot about LLMs, or large language models, like OpenAI's GPT-4, which is at the heart of ChatGPT and Microsoft's Copilot. But at the recent Ignite conference, a new term came to the fore: SLM, or Small Language Model. Running your requests on AI tools based on large language models like GPT-4 can be pretty expensive, and the large datasets that are used to train these tools can be counterproductive in situations where specific accuracy is important, such as many business-focused applications. Comparatively, small language models are cheaper and easier to train and run, and can be focused on specific types of purpose using more focused, vetted datasets. So this can mean better results, less costs, and even models that are small enough to run at the edge. The SLM may be the advance our AI tools need to be more efficient and to be better for the real-life business purposes we're deploying them against. I expect to hear much more of these types of models underlying Copilot branded services over the course of 2024. In a previous incarnation of AI, the business world focused on the potential for expert systems that could deal with requests within a bounded realm of context. With the arrival of Copilot Studio, or the building of GPTs in ChatGPT, I've seen many tutorials spring up of people uploading a set of business documents and then essentially building out an expert system. This definitely has utility, but it doesn't fully align with the stated potential of a product like Copilot for Microsoft 365, where we seek to rely on it to build the context against our business data, rather than us having to group together the contextual information to build out lots of different Copilots. In this regard, I think some of these applications will to some extent be a fad, and our long-term expectations, particularly for internal business applications, will be better and better indexing of the data in order to provide better and better context. If a product like Copilot for Microsoft 365 is to win out against competitors, then I truly believe it will be that semantic index that is the special sauce that sets it apart. And I think increasingly, instead of piecing business data together for transactional purposes, like we see in Copilot Studio, we will rely more upon indexing capabilities we see in tools like graph connectors. Right now, graph connectors are positioned as an enterprise feature, but with the anticipation of Copilot for Microsoft 365 coming to smaller businesses, I predict that by the end of 2024, we will see solutions more suitable for smaller businesses to expand the Microsoft Graph Index into third-party data sources. The dream of Copilot that Microsoft has conveyed goes significantly beyond what we see today into a far more omnipresent and proactive assistant through our lives. Within Copilot Studio, we start to see the first glimpses of this potential, but right now, as it's built, the Copilots are generally tools that work at our specific instruction, rather than having a defined job that they take care of without our intervention. There are already much more autonomous AI-based options out there from other companies, though many of these are of questionable quality and safety when it comes to entrusting them with data or processes to do with your business. However, by the end of 2024, I feel it's likely that some more autonomous actions will go mainstream in products such as Copilot. It could start small, like automatically doing proactive calendar management, or revising your to-do list based on that email message that came in from your boss. Maybe Copilot keeps track of those documents you used as context for your presentation, and asks you if you'd like to update the slides based on those edits. Maybe it proactively books out 30 minutes on your calendar for you to review and rehearse those changes before your 2 p.m. client presentation. Is this possible in the long term? Probably. The question is, how quickly are capabilities like this going to start showing up? One of the big questions around all the new features we're seeing is, when the dust settles with all this, how much is this really going to cost us? We know that Copilot for Microsoft 365 is $30 per user per month, so for most organisations currently just paying for a Microsoft 365 subscription, this addition ranges from more than doubling to adding nearly 50% more to each user's cost, depending on what base license you're using. However, we also know that buying a Copilot for Microsoft 365 subscription isn't going to guarantee you every AI or Copilot branded feature being offered by Microsoft, and we can suspect that many users will require more that may start to come with added licensing costs. On top of this, many of the data management tools that make it somewhat safer to use a tool like Copilot for Microsoft 365, like sensitivity labels, require more than the cheapest Microsoft 365 licenses you'll be able to apply the AI add-on to. By the end of 2024, will we see it be commonplace for even smaller businesses to have Microsoft 365 subscriptions that average over $100 per user per month? Maybe. However, the other day I was chatting with a client about her IT costs. She was unhappy with the size of the bills she was getting from her MSP, which included all her desktop support, cybersecurity, and monthly SaaS licenses. So I asked her to compare the size of this bill to other significant investments a business like hers has to make, like for example delivery vehicles, and then to think about how crucial IT is to her revenue versus her business vehicles. The reality is that IT has crept into every part of our businesses, and along the way has really gotten cheaper, not more expensive. The value that IT contributes to businesses versus the cost is, in most cases, far more favourable than many investments business owners make every day, and we just perceive it as being really expensive because it's somewhat intangible. Ultimately, I think a lot of businesses will end up spending significantly more on IT because of AI, But they will also find this investment helps them both generate more revenue and save on certain expenses. Efficiency, increased productivity and reduced errors will bolster revenue. Lower team turnover and more time to focus on increasing the effectiveness of processes will reduce costs. Every business will benefit, but the revenues of companies like Microsoft will explode. Should you budget more for IT in 2024? Probably yes, but you should be happy to do so because of the benefits it will accrue for you. So there you have it. What do you think? Are these on the money, or do you think I'm way off? I don't have any specific knowledge of Microsoft's plans in any of these areas, so right now these are just my speculative ideas based on my understanding of the technologies and how I've seen them develop over the last months. Let me know down in the comments what you think and what your predictions are. Thanks for watching through to the end, and thanks to all of you who have supported my videos and my channel in 2023. This will probably be the last video of this year, but I'll be back next year with more content on Copilot, AI, and Microsoft 365. Until the next one, Happy New Year. Bye bye.